We're about to be joined by the Liverpool legend Phil Thompson to look ahead to that top-of-the-table clash on Sunday, which, by the way, is live on Off the Ball. Nathan Murphy and Brian Kerr are going to bring you that game from 4 o'clock. First of all, some thoughts from the football writer Daniel Harris, who was with us during the week. Here he is on Jurgen Klopp.
Liverpool won a ridiculous number of games last season by 1 goal. Now, you can look at that and say that reflects very well indeed on their mentality, on their confidence, on their fortitude, on their ability to find a way to get it done. And it does. It's unbelievably impressive to be able to do that. But it's also not sustainable. And I think what we're seeing with Liverpool is their best players now, Mane, Salah, Henderson, Van Dijk, even though, I know he's injured, but those guys, they're not getting better now. They're still really good, but at best they're plateauing and they're at their physical peaks and they're just coming over to the second side, the downward slope of their physical peaks. They're not improving. So what we're going to see from Liverpool is they can still have the bloody mindedness and the brilliance, but not as often to get it done. But I feel like this team peaked 2 seasons ago. And I'm not again saying this isn't still a really, really good team. It is. But like City, they're not improving. Whereas United, on the other hand, aren't at their peak yet.
Phil Thompson, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning, how are you?
Liverpool are past their peak.
I'm just listening to that there, and you look at the age of the side. I think if they were all 30 plus, you would be saying, well, there's a little bit of truth in that. We could be slightly worried, and Jurgen Klopp has got sort of a lot of work to be done, but I think anybody would say, well, I don't think this team is anywhere near over the top. I think the finding it is second season syndrome, as we've seen in the Premier League, find it very difficult to get themselves up, as we've seen in the last few weeks, getting themselves up for games to get over the line. And it's a fair point when you say you win so many games by 1 goal. Sometimes when that flips a little bit, you do have that problem. And I think if sometimes maybe you're not quite at it, I think then the scorelines, and as we've seen with Liverpool, those 1-0 sort of, or 1 goal wins have turned into draws.
It's very difficult to read too much, and we won't, into the Villa game, but the games obviously that have gone before that, there are worrying trends, if you want to look at it that way, from a Liverpool point of view, which puts a lot of pressure on the game on Sunday, Phil. And there's a lot of people reaching for a lot of conclusions out of no matter what happens at the weekend. Like, if Liverpool are beaten, suddenly is the title run over? What does it mean for the future of this Liverpool team? It suddenly has put a lot of pressure on this game on Sunday.
There's pressure. There's such a long way to go. I know we're sort of into the middle of January, and we're not halfway through the season yet. And my goodness, I've been a player, I've been a coach, and it's important because of which game it is, and it'll be right, but it's still a very, very long way to go. And I think even Manchester United fans would do that. But Liverpool and Manchester United is always the biggest game in world football. I still believe that no matter what. And Manchester United have had an absolutely wonderful time of it. But that's what we've seen this season, isn't it? We go back quite a few weeks. When Liverpool were playing Spurs, they were the top 2 in the Premier League. And people were talking about, this is Spurs' time. Manchester United and Manchester City weren't even being thought of as title challengers. So, and I don't think Liverpool have by any way got a level of consistency to be saying, yes, it's been great. And yet the last few games, particularly the draws that Liverpool have had, everybody's going, I don't think we've been great, but I don't think we've hit our stride yet. And as we've seen, Everton were at the top, Aston Villa were at the top, Leicester were at the top, Chelsea were at the top. All these teams, so if this is the way this season's going to go, I think most people in the game are seeing that. I do think in the end, the consistency levels will come from Liverpool and Manchester City. Manchester United have done exceptionally well. And you're right, if they do get a good result, if they were to win Liverpool, well, it wouldn't be over because we'll just have to null and void it like Gary Neville did last year. And then no, but It cycles with this season, and I really do. And I think it was planning before the season. Sort of the rest the players had, then because everything's been crammed in. We're seeing so many games. This will continue, I'm afraid.
Obviously, there's been so much chat about the penalties over the last couple of weeks, and Jurgen Klopp, as I saw Mark Clattenburg yesterday talking about in his mail column, a right good cut-off Klopp saying that he was a hypocrite, was what he was saying, about suggesting that United players are trying to win penalties, that Liverpool players can do the same. But like that notwithstanding, Phil, is it a bit of a sense of sort of a bit of nerves now on Klopp's part that he's having to engage in this stuff, and like that's the outer expression of the concern that maybe he has himself about where this Liverpool team are at?
No, I think he is. I think he knows that consistency of that he's looking for has not been there for nearly all season. This has not just been the last few games, as I explained before. So he is sensing that, and I just think it's those words getting them at it. Like, there's only been a few games, and dare I say it is the bigger games at Liverpool. The Spurs game, we were absolutely fantastic. I think there was only Jose Mourinho who didn't think that. Was a stunning performance. Chelsea was a stunning performance, and I think Leicester was very, very good. So the games are few and far between, but there is a level with these players. But I think it is getting up for games that I would be looking at the players and seeing if you can just get into the psyche there, is to make sure that they're at it a little bit more. I know you do always end up getting those extra goals, which will just get you over the line. And if you want, Manchester United have changed that round. You look at the mentality of them, and with confidence, don't forget, we're talking about Manchester United going back 3 or 4 weeks, where people were saying, especially after the Champions League, oh, these are no chance. Even Manchester United legends, these have no chance. If these think that they can win the Premier League ever, they've got with this side. And yet all of a sudden people are saying, oh, realistic challenges. This is the season that we're having. And Manchester United, I believe, have fell upon a side which I don't think Bolly thought that he would do. And in that sense, I'm talking about McTominay and Fred, who most Man United fans and people go, God, they're not in our starting 11. And they're proven a very good formation, giving protection to what was a delicate back four.
In many ways, Phil, is this, I guess, a far more high-stakes game for Manchester United this weekend? Because regardless of what happens, it does seem that Liverpool and Manchester City still have that capability to go on an outrageous run between now and the end of the season. It's not looking overly likely that maybe Liverpool won't go on that run, but still, these are teams that have got players that have gone on 90-plus seasons in the last couple of years, whereas Manchester United have yet to prove that. So they maybe need the cushion that perhaps Liverpool don't need.
Yeah, I do. That's a fair point, and Manchester United do. You don't know, because Manchester United, as we've seen with Ollie, Ollie's done so well with the side, but you know he's only a defeat away from everybody talking about his job again. I mean, that's how delicate it is, and being Manchester United and getting to a high, but a couple of defeats, and you know that pressure comes on these lads who again, as you just said, are not quite used to it. But Liverpool and Manchester City, listen, weeks and weeks ago when people were saying Man City, it's not. You know Manchester City can go, and they could possibly, and Liverpool could win every game between now and the end of the season, because they've proved they can do that. And with this Manchester United side, it is always delicate with the comparisons of the past. We've been there, for goodness sake, so we know how that feels. And the players, they can't sort of get the shackles off. You're looking at Pogba. I was wondering, will Pogba actually play on Sunday? And his performance the other night against Burnley suggests he will play. And he is maybe coming good at this moment.
Yeah, he's in the right run of form. When you look at the various strengths, Phil, obviously Liverpool's well written about main concerns at the minute across the back, and arguably United's main strengths, Pogba's form notwithstanding, are up top. Does that give you some cause for concern?
It does do, because Liverpool have got more pace up there. You've got, I think they will go with Martial up front because I don't think they'll come out. They want to sit back and do the counter-attacking, which they're very good at. But then that requires Martial and Rashford both play. Then you've got Fernandes and Pogba. That's what I'm saying. Those four are very, very good in different ways, which helps a side. So, yes, they would worry me because our defence has not been great, and it is a problem. Matip has not trained yet, so it's looking as though he might not. Reece Williams, talking about the pace, would Reece, as we've seen against the young boy Barry at Aston Villa in the FA Cup, didn't have the legs for it. So will he go back to Henderson again to look to go in that back four? Will he take a chance on Nat Phillips? I'm not quite sure. He might be going. But Henderson out in midfield then, because I think that's where we can overrun Thiago, Wijnaldum, and Henderson can overrun the two players of Manchester United.
Yeah. If you were in the dugout, Phil, what would you do? That because it's a hard one, isn't it? Like you've got inexperience of Henderson in that position, and then you're also losing his impact in midfield.
Absolutely, but I would have to go at this moment in time because of the game that it is. I would probably have to go with Henderson, and I know that it is not right, and it'll be called a sort of a masterstroke if it comes off Liverpool win and they do it. But it does take that energy and that high press. Nobody does it better than Henderson in that position, and I think that's what will be playing with Jurgen Klopp's head. Is he will miss that. So then it comes a conundrum. Who does he go with? But I do expect, as I said to you before, the bigger the game, for the players to get up and at it, it needs the big game, and there's no bigger than this one, Whitman. And I have no doubt that Liverpool will turn up like they haven't done since the Spurs game. And yes, it was great against Crystal Palace, scoring 7, but we had 8 shots, 7 flew in. But this, to be up and at it, I think you'll see a game like the Spurs game.
Do you think, by the way, that like given the conversation we've literally just had, that I know Jurgen Klopp has said he doesn't want to buy anybody in January, and maybe that's just he could be gaming it a bit. But do you think they do need to bring somebody in, even somebody of decent quality, obviously, but even temporarily?
I've thought about this, and as soon as Virgil got injured, you were looking, well, maybe we'll get sort of a loan player, somebody who's at decent level. Maybe they're not playing somewhere and get a loan. But I think it's become more apparent and more important that we actually sign, if that one's out there. Upamecano is at Leipzig is the right one, but we're playing in Champions League. Will they let him go? But he does have a presence. He can be a starter straight, and that is the important thing. You can get somebody go straight in. We've only got really 3 centre-backs anyway, but Matip's always injured. The other 2 are injured also at the moment. So you're needing somebody. If the right one is there, you have to purchase them, even if it costs you, which it will, more than it will do in the summer. So I think it's quite imperative that we do try and get somebody in the January.
Yeah. Given that we've just spent a bunch of time discussing both of their defensive frailties, it's destined to be 0-0. What's your prediction?
I hope not, for goodness sake.
Yeah. We'd enough of that with the game last night. What do you think is going to happen?
I do think, and I'm really expecting Liverpool to come out. I think Ollie will have them sitting a little bit deeper. The block will be a little bit sort of lower. He does like doing that and then hitting on the counter. So I think we'll see a little bit of that from Manchester United. They'll have looked at Liverpool in the way how they played against a team to defend so deep, and they have found it difficult. But this will be a different Liverpool side, and they will be absolutely bang at it on Sunday. And I think that is where the tables will be turned on. I'm hoping there'll be goals. I'm hoping, for goodness sake, that it'll be a great, as I heard you say before, a derby. It's not our derby, but it does take on that feel. I do think Liverpool will run out winners and go to go. And for Ivan Yates, he will appreciate this one. It'll be a 3-1 scoreline.
Oh, we look forward to it. We look forward to it. I assumed that, Phil. I did assume that. Thanks a million. Enjoy the game.
My pleasure, guys. Hope it is a good game. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a million. Phil Thompson on the line there. And a reminder as well that here and Off the Bob, we're bringing you live and exclusive radio commentary of that game, Liverpool against Manchester United on Sunday. It's Nathan Murphy and it's Brian Kerr, and it's all underway from 4 o'clock.